I thought Ferrandis did a great job all season. I was not a real big Ferrandis fan when he was with the 250s. I thought he did a couple of little bonehead moves that didn't really belong in the Supercross race. But look, he redeemed himself as far as I'm concerned, did a great job in the outdoors. I was in Kenny Roxon's corner. I have been for a while, but it's the way it is. And I think it's great that we have an international, a German guy, a French guy, and the Americans. And it's just good overall for the sport. That's why I like the Australian kids, and there's a few other kids. Joey Shimoda, I think it gives a nice feeling to it, like the old Trans Am days, where there's an international field. I think it's great for the sport. Yeah. Yeah, sure. After the show. We'll get to that.
We're live.
We're at the starting line, which is brought to you by Motion Pro. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, and here's what you're going to see tonight. And the next time try this segment, I've got a little follow-up on the shock mounting tip I gave you last week. Stick around for that. In the Moto Showcase, a beautiful 1977 Suzuki RM 125B. Looking forward to bringing you that in just a little while. Here's the problem. We've got a question about wires. We've got a question about a few different things, and we've got answers for you. It's all coming up. What's it worth? Dirt Squirt, Hodaka 100. You're going to be surprised what it's worth. It's an original bike. We've got that and a whole lot more coming up on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Good evening, everyone. I'm Joe Abadi, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thanks, Jordan and Chelsea, for helping me put the show together, and of course, Susie. And thank you, the viewers at home who join us every week for another episode. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please comment Motion Pro. And a little bit later on, we're going to have a random share giveaway winner. They're going to get a sticker sheet just like this, compliments of Vinco. But it's not going to be announced on the show tonight. You're going to have to go over to the Vintage Motocross Q&A page tomorrow and find out who the random share giveaway winner is. Build up a little traffic there in the group. Hey, the YouTube channel is going great. We've got all of our interviews up there, all of our shows from the past 2 years, and it's just going really, really well. But we could always use your help. Please subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get a little alert like this and tells you when we're live on the air, and you'll never miss a minute of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Plus, you can see all the other episodes from the interviews and all that great stuff too. How are the pros? How are the expert watching the show every week? They're watching it on their big screen TV in HD while they comment through their phone. That's how the experts are doing it. That's how you should be doing it too. You can watch the show on the big screen, comment from your phone. It's a great way to enjoy it. Vintage Motocross Q&A is a great show. We appreciate you being here every week, and you're a big part of that. Keep the cards coming in. Keep the questions coming in. Your Moto Showcase bikes, it's all a really, really big part of it. It's what I enjoy most about the show, and it's really all about you. Yeah, I'm here giving you the information, but it's you who give me all the content for the show. We put it here, and everybody gets to enjoy it. So please, stay in touch with us via email or any type of message on Facebook. We really appreciate that. As always, I want to thank our sponsors, Motion Pro, Vinco, Racer X, Glen Products, Preston Petty Products, Sunrise Vapor Blasting, Full Circle Racing, and of course, Northwest Mako CZ. On tonight's Next Time Try This segment, which is brought to you by Vinco, I have a little follow-up for you. Last week, we were talking about mounting shocks and making sure they don't pinch on your swing arm or on the upper frame mount of your bike. Here's the way it should look. You saw this picture last week. Now, maybe I didn't make something clear. I was talking to Oscar Gayton about this, and he said, Joe, I wasn't too clear on what you were saying. You should really, really revisit this, and I'm going to right now. Here's what I was talking about. Jordan, next slide. When you're mounting a shock on your bike, if it looks like this and that steel bushing is not sticking out beyond the shock itself, that's where you need to be careful. That's what I was talking about, to where people crank down on the bolt and it starts to pinch the shock. It usually happens when you're using a different type of shock or the shock is not set up properly, like you see right here. See where the steel bushing is not protruding beyond the rubber grommet or the rubber insulator. That's where you're going to have a problem. That's why I recommended not torquing down all the way in a situation like this, using an eyelet or maybe some smaller washers that are not going to bind against the rubber on the grommet, so you get a good fit with your shock. Now, in the next slide, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and this is the perfect case that we would have. Look at the steel bushing in that picture. I'm holding it right here too. It sticks out beyond the body of the shock. When you have that and it sits right down in that pocket of your swing arm or in the pocket on the upper frame, then you can really torque down on that bolt as much as you need to in order to keep that shock secure on your bike. I think some people may have gotten the impression that I was saying not to tighten your bolts all the way. Absolutely not. You got to tighten them all the way. In fact, I had recommended that on Honda swing arms on the bottom, that you might want to put a dab of Loctite on that shock, because the bolt doesn't go all the way through on a Honda swing arm. But that's what you want to look out for. And if I didn't make it clear, I want to thank Oscar Gayton for bringing it to my attention, and I wanted to make it clear to you this week in the Next Time Try This segment. So thank you, Vinco, and next time try that. Vinco, they have got a rod kit for an RM 500, 83 through 84. It's just $259. And as always, you can expect a quality product from Vinco that will either meet or exceed original equipment manufacturer specs. This connecting rod fits all Suzuki's 83, 84 RM 500 models, and it's available immediately. It comes with a heavy-duty forged steel connecting rod. It's got the pin, it's got the big end bearing, the wrist pin, the two thrust washers, everything you're going to need to rebuild the top of that RM 500. Vinco, another great product. Seems like they never stop. Vinco, keep the ride going. In the Moto Showcase tonight, which is brought to you by Preston Petty Products, we've got a really, really nice bike that was sent in to us by Dino Carreo, a 1977 Suzuki RM 125B. This is probably the nicest one I've ever seen, and I'm just thrilled to have it here on the show. Dino is from Florida. He did give us a brief description on this bike, but I'm going to give you a little bit more on it. First, I'll tell you what Dino said to us. It is a complete rebuild, including the engine, of course. The crank was rebuilt using a new rod kit, bearings, seals, clutch plates. They were all from Vinco. The frame, swing arm, and other parts were taken down to bare metal, inspected, and powder coated, gloss black. I started with a fairly nice gas tank, and I stripped it down. I painted it with a base coat, clear coat using PPG paint. The side panels are NOS, which is a really nice touch, and Vintage Suzuki supplied the fenders and the front plate. The hubs were refinished. They have new bearings as well. It's laced up to brand new. You can, folks, the seat was refurbished, and the triple clamps were vapor blasted and clear coated. Some other things I see about this bike that are absolutely incredible is how well Dino did the hardware. The shift lever, every nut, bolt, and fastener on this bike is absolutely perfect. There's a beautiful color match between the gas tank, the fenders that he got from Vintage Suzuki, the front plate, and of course, the NOS side panels. The rims are absolutely beautiful, and there's really nothing not to love about this bike. I want to thank Dino Carreo for sending this in. And Dino, if you send us your email, your mailing address, I'm going to get you a mug just like this. Compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A and Preston Petty Products. This is new to the show. I'm really thrilled about giving them away. Preston Petty Products, Vintage Motocross Q&A. Vintage, you're going to get a mug just like that. Dino Carreo. And the special this week from Preston Petty Products is a front and rear fender in the darker orange. They're just $99.95. $99.95. Get over to PrestonPettyProducts.com. Get a nice set of dark orange fenders for your Can-Am, probably. in the Here's the Problem segment tonight, which is brought to you by Motion Pro. Jordan, let's hit the first question. Jeff Kokoski, winter is just around the corner. What is the best way to store our steel gas tanks in the off season? Well, Jeff, the best way to do it is to fill your tank up with gas and put it away. Okay. If you can't do that and you have your bike stored in your garage, you want to take the tank off the bike, drain it, of course, then rinse it out with alcohol. Alcohol will dry up immediately. Now, a lot of people think they want to use compressed air to blow out the inside of the tank. Your compressor in your garage or your shop may have some condensation in the tank. Be careful with that. You're better off with the alcohol than letting it dry outside. After that, you can coat it with oil. Nice, clean motor oil will do. Two-stroke oil will do. Anything like that if it's a steel tank. By the way, another tip I want to give you is if you are going to store the bike with the gas tank filled, make sure your petcock doesn't leak before you do that. Okay? Hope that helps you, Jeff Kokoski. Ronnie Milner, can you advise me on removing brass bushings from my swing arm? They seem to be nearly impossible to remove. Yeah, they can be impossible to remove, and there's really only one way to do it. If you've tried heat and you've tried a bearing removal tool and you still can't get them out, and sometimes you can't, the only way to get them out is to cut them. To cut them, you're going to have to put a hacksaw through there, then reattach the hacksaw arm itself, and you'll be able to cut them like this. You got to be careful, though. You don't want to cut into the steel of the swing arm. So keep an eye on it. And if your swing arm is a full piece all the way across, like on a Honda, you're going to have to do it like this. If it's one piece or, like a smaller piece where it's maybe 1.5 inches on each side, where you see them on, let's say, a 74, 75 Kawasaki KX 250 or 400, you can go in there with a Sawzall because you can see exactly what's going on. You can get down in there with a little metal blade and cut a slot in there. You don't need to cut it fully in half. All you need to do is put one slot in there, and then you should be able to press them out with a regular bearing removal tool. But that's really the only way to get them out. If you've already tried heat and a bearing removal tool, you have to cut them. Wired in Wyoming. I have a few older Hondas from the 60s and 70s I'm restoring. Some ignition wiring I'm replacing looks to be covered with fabric. Well, am I wrong? You are not wrong, Wired in Wyoming. There is a fabric over those wires that are from the 60s and 70s. In fact, a lot of people who restore older cars do go out and buy specific wiring like that because wiring at that time was not covered in plastic. And if you look closely on your CR250s, I know it's on theirs. I don't know necessarily about the 60s and 70s bikes that you're working on, but it is a cloth covering over that wire, and it is available. I saw it on eBay. I saw it on a couple of custom car websites, things like Caswell and a few other ones where they do sell it, and it is cloth covered wire. So you are correct. You can see it here in the picture, which I took of ignition from a 74 CR 250. It is cloth covered. It's not your imagination, and that type of wiring is still available. And I believe you would want that in a 18 or a 16 gauge if you're shopping for that type of wire. Thanks for the question. Wired in Wyoming.
This is Scott Burworth, and you're watching. This is Scott Burworth, and you're watching Vintage MX. This is Scott Burworth.
Hi, I'm Debbie Burworth. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. Don't forget SoCal Vintage MX Classic coming up.
We'll be right back.
Another great product from Motion Pro in the What's It Worth segment tonight, which is sponsored by Full Circle Racing. we're going to take a look at a Hodaka Dirt Squirt 1974. This is, of course, the part of the show where you are encouraged to put in what you think this bike recently sold for. Okay? So there it is, 74 Hodaka Dirt Squirt. This bike did sell in Oregon on July 20th. So the description is as follows. It's a very nice original unrestored 74 Hodaka Dirt Squirt Survivor. This motorcycle is original down to the tires, handlebars, and grips. It spent most of its life in a climate-controlled warehouse. It's obvious that it has seen very little use over the last 50 years. The carburetor was professionally cleaned. The gas tank was professionally cleaned and lined with POR 15. Okay. Gear oil was changed. It has a brand new air filter, brand new stock petcocks. The bike runs perfectly and everything else works as it should. Although it is above average condition cosmetically, it is not perfect. The photo describes its condition best, so please look at everything closely before you bid and ask any questions before you do that. This is a dirt bike. There is no title. It is being sold with a bill of sale only. This is a really, really nice little Dirt Squirt 100, and it is original. You may not be able to see it as closely as I was able to see it when I put these pictures together for this segment, but it was one heck of a nice little bike. So what do you think that little Dirt Squirt 100 sold for? $4,500? $5,000 for an original bike? $3,200. $3,200 for the little Hodaka Dirt Squirt 1974. It was in great shape. I've seen these sell for close to $5,000, sometimes over, at the Mecum motorcycle auction. But $3,200 I thought was a fair price for that little Dirt Squirt. That segment, of course, is sponsored by Full Circle Racing. Tom McAllister is still doing a great service up there, refinishing hubs for you, powder coating, bead blasting them. He'll change bearings if you have to. And he's got it all going on up there, whether you want him to just do your hubs or replace your spokes or build you completely new rims. Get a hold of Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing. Have you ever heard of? This is, of course, brought to you by Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Have you ever heard of Hercules? Not that Hercules. Next one. Hercules motorcycle. I'll tell you a little bit about it. The Hercules company was founded in 1886 and produced bicycles by Karl Merschutz in Nuremberg, Germany, and began producing motorcycles in 1904. It was merged with Girard Union, and being first purchased by Sachs, it was called ZF Sachs in 1963. In the 50s and 60s, Sachs was the largest European fabricator of two-stroke motorcycle engines. Many of the engines that were used in the Hercules line of small bikes and scooters and mopeds were, of course, supplied by Sachs. In 74, Hercules came out with a bike they offered with a Wankel engine. It was for sale to the general public. A prototype was first shown in 1970 in the West Cologne Auto Motorcycle Show to a mixed reception, and the production bike was sold as a Hercules product, except in the United Kingdom, where it was marked as a DKW motorcycle. The W2000 had a single rotor air-cooled engine of 294cc displacement that produced 23 horsepower. A year later, it would put up 32 horsepower. Cooling was done by a large fan placed in front of the engine, and a slipstream breeze while riding would cool the engine. Oddly enough, this engine was also lubricated by adding oil to the gas. Adding oil to the gas was how this engine was lubricated. The next year, when they released the model, they did have it to where it did have a pump. In 76, Hercules launched that W2000 injection system, and they introduced a rotary valve dirt bike, or a rotary powered dirt bike, the KC30 GS Enduro of May in 75. But the price was just too high in America, and it wouldn't catch on at over $3,000. The Fitchel & Sachs single rotor engine of 300cc swept volume as used by Hercules. It was only commercially available for a short period of time. Even BSAs used them. But as of 1996, the Hercules line had ceased to exist. But there it is, Hercules. They had a Wankel engine and some really unique ideas for that time. But unfortunately, in 1996, it all came to a close. Now you've heard of a Hercules. That segment is, of course, brought to you by Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Whether it's for your boat, plane, or car, any kind of delicate metal that you may have, get it over to Mark Ferriester at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. He'll put it in that magical tank of his and make that thing as clean as new and never change the profile of the metal. If you have any brass or special fittings that are in whatever it is you're sending him, no need to worry about that. It's a real gentle touch that he does with that vapor blaster, and they'll come out beautiful, just like you see it right here, inside and out. So whether it's a carburetor for your bike, car, plane, whatever it may be, Get a hold of Mark Ferriester in Modesto Sunrise Vapor Blasting. It'll never be cleaner. We're going to take a commercial break, and we are not going to have a winner when we come back. Announce the winner for the random share giveaway on the page tomorrow. We'll be right back, though.
Classic and vintage dirt bikes are more than a hobby. It's not just about the ride. It's about the work that goes in. The work that keeps you connected to the ride. It's about bringing the bike back to life and doing it with your own hands. It's about the adrenaline and adventure. And when it comes to putting all the pieces together, only Vinco knows the bikes and parts the way you do. Vinco, keep the ride going.
This Week in Motocross History is brought to you by Racer X Magazine, available on your newsstand now and also online. Don't forget to see our ad in the back of Racer X. This Week in Motocross History, in 1971, the U.S. takes on Canada. There was no Team USA at the Trophy des Nations in 1971, but several top riders headed up to Canada for a match race called the Canadian Challenge Cup. The race was held at Stampeder Motor Park in Alder Grove, British Columbia. Among the Yanks on hand were a couple who would later go on to be very, very successful in the motorcycle aftermarket industry. One of them was Eddie Cole. The other was Brian Holcomb, as well as Jim McDougall and Jeff Wecker, John Rice, and a few more. At the end of the day, America won that Can-Am Challenge with those guys representing America. 1982, what was going on there, Jordan? Magoo takes on the world. Team USA's wild man, Danny Magoo Chandler, introduced himself to the rest of the world in a stunning one-on-one ride in the 250cc Honda at the FIM Trophy des Nations in Geldorf, Germany. Chandler's dominant performance led an easy win for the all-Honda Team USA, which was consisted of Johnny O'Mara, David Bailey, and Jim Gibson. It was the second year in a row that the Americans had won, though O'Mara was the only holdover from the first winning version of the team, which was Danny Laporte, Chuck Sun, and Donnie Hansen. I did want to mention that too, that in 1981, it was Hansen and O'Mara, Chuck Sun, and Danny Laporte who really were the first team to win the Trophy des Nations and the Motocross des Nations. Let's move on. 1993. Yeah, we had a rising star. Robbie Reynard went 1-6, and he was only 16 years old. Kawasaki Robbie Reynard, just 16 years old and 3 months, won the Steel City 125 National Finale, making him the youngest rider ever to win an AMA Pro Motocross race in either class. It's a record that still stands today. Reynard used unlikely 6-1 scores to win for the first time in his career. Yamaha's Jeff Emig finished second, and Honda's Doug Henry third. But it was enough for Henry to snatch the #1 plate from Emig's bike as the new AMA 125cc national champion. And on Monday, it was Doug Henry's birthday. So a belated happy birthday to Doug Henry. Announcements brought to you by Glen Products. Glen Products, you've been hearing me talking about it for months on the show. It's a little filter. It looks just like this. It's made of billet aluminum. Will clean down to 10 microns of material that is in your gas. You can't even see it with your eye. Silver, orange, and red, and they make them for everything. On-road, off-road, street bikes, dual-purpose, adventure, you name it. Elin Golan and Golan Products make a filter for it. Get a hold of them today. They're also looking for distributors. Call them or email them at golanproducts@yahoo.com. Vintage Motocross Radio. We had a great time talking to Preston Petty this past weekend or last weekend at the Trailblazers reunion. So you can listen to that at any time. It is available also on YouTube. We do not have a guest coming up for this Sunday, but always check Vintage Motocross Radio, and we'll tell you when we're going to have our next guest. American Retrocross. Got a great little race coming up there on September 12th. That's on the REM track at Glen, Helen. Sign-up starts at 7:30 a.m. They say they're going to be done by 1 o'clock. There's a class for everybody. Vintage, Evo, modern, everybody. Bring your mom. We have a class for her even. this weekend. I'm counting the days. In fact, it's Wednesday. I'm leaving Friday morning, heading up to Sacramento to the greatest race in Northern California, the Hangtown National. Also the oldest race on the national circuit. So if you're not doing anything, get up there on September 11th. There's going to be a special show to commemorate 9/11, of course. And we won't see it get down to the wire between Ferrandis, Roxon, and the guys, but who knows? Jet Lawrence and a few guys in the 250 class, I still think they got some work to do. So hope to catch you up there at Hangtown. That's this Saturday. Oh, Northern California reunion. It's happened at De La Vega Park in Santa Cruz. That's on October 16th from 3 to 7. There's golf, there's a dinner, and I am the MC for the day. Brad Lackey's going to be there, Billy Grassi, I understand David, and possibly Gary Bailey and a host of others. It's for a great cause, Road to Recovery. I'm not sure there's many tickets left, but you might want to check that out. It's a really, really worthy cause, and there's going to be a lot of great people there supporting that. Yeah, spring is fall is just around the corner, and the American Classic Racing and the Armor guys, along with the Field of Dreams, got a great event coming up October 15th, 16th, and 17th in beautiful Southern New Jersey. Scott Burnworth, SoCal MX Classic coming up on October 16th. The Burner always got a lot of swag and puts on a great event. October 16th, 2021, featuring the second running of the Marty Smith Memorial Cup. Oktoberfest, Tammy Greenhill putting on another race at Glen, Helen. She's doing that along with the Armor Group, and it is happening on October 31st. It's Halloween. Dress up for Halloween, go race vintage bikes, see Tammy Greenhill. Oktoberfest, I'm thinking, who knows? Maybe somebody might have a nice cooler full of nice beer there. Look, I don't know. I don't promote that type of behavior at the track, but there's going to be a great event there October 31st. The finish line sponsored by Northwest Mako CZ this week. Great little special going on there. Every item they have is under $10. The fork stops for a Mako, a kill button, and the exhaust isolator block for a Mako. Get over to Northwest Mako CZ. There's always something special going on there. There's a long list of products. But this week, they got stuff all for under $10. Your Mako must need something. Get over there. Thanks, Alan Brown. Obviously, Motocross Q&A t-shirts and hoodies are still available in gray or white. And, of course, the hoodie, cool weather is just around the corner, just $19.99 for a couple of bucks more. You get yourself a hoodie. Follow the link in the show description. One will be delivered to your door. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are still available. You could see the same benefits that everybody on the board behind me is getting. They've been with me for almost 2 years, some of them. And somebody just renewed Sunrise Vapor Blasting. They just renewed for another 3 months. So did Golden Products. So we'll do 3 months at a time. You want to try it for a month? Get a hold of me. I'll send you a sponsorship proposal package. Try it for a month. See what happens. You try it for 3 months, I guarantee something's going to happen. That's it for our show this week on Vintage Motocross Q&A. Thank you for joining me. Remember, no show this Sunday on Vintage Motocross Radio, but stay tuned. We're going to come up with something for you in the very, very near future. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm Joe Abadi, and the dogs are unavailable. I'll have them on next week. We'll see you next time.